Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. My background is my home country of Poland, a Poland German American who's now living in Little Osaka, and there's a long story related to that. But nonetheless, though we were just chatting about the weather, and that's an important part of international travel. You have to be prepared clothing wise in a variety of different ways. You Much more interesting topic, I think, is food and exercise and your mental acuity when you're traveling. How many times have you sat in your plane and looking out the window and getting recharged mentally? That's always been a key part of my own sanity, quite honestly, in between traveling between countries and eating probably too much and finding time to exercise and just trying to keep healthy is really tough. So all of those are different aspects that are critically important for any global leader. And Susie Zhang happens to be a Renaissance woman who's so involved and so experienced and so knowledgeable in so many ways, including things like helping food companies be successful in China. And today she'll be talking about a topic near and dear to us to help us be sharper and better, not just in our meetings that we do across border, but in a long-term basis. How do you maintain your health and your sanity and your effectiveness as you do international travel? So, Susie, thank you so much for your leadership in so many areas. Susie, by the way, is also on our Global Chamber Advisory Board in Los Angeles. When we started the year on that advisory board, the events committee pulled together some different ideas for events that really kind of started in the holidays when we had a holiday party that Susie was a key part of. And I can still, probably my most memorable, there were two things that were very, very memorable for me. Number one was finding a parking space right in front of the venue. That was that was pretty important. And number two was Susie's smiling face amongst the sea of people. Global Chamber Los Angeles had the back corner of this restaurant, and it was very crowded and very noisy. And Susie was enjoying herself. So, Susie, I know you're an expert on this topic, and we really look forward to hearing from you today. Thank you for taking the time to share.
Thank you, Doug, for the great introduction. And hello, Global Chamber, where good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are. And this is what a Global Chamber is about. We deal with different time zone and we'll travel around the globe and to get business done, whatever it takes. And we're contributed to the success of our globe and our company, our businesses. One thing that we tend to forget is our own well-being, our own health. And as it sounds like a glamorous as it is to enjoy all kinds of foods around the globe, everything, but oftentimes we don't have the time to do it. And we don't have the time to truly nurture our body, nurture our mind, and to truly think about our well-being. To Doug's point that I have spent almost 3 decades of my life dealing with global travel and dealing with global businesses. So today I like to start with my first part of the speaking series to share my knowledge and my experience, my learning, what to do and not to do with you all. Hopefully that's a little bit helpful. Again, it's truly trying to share some hints, share some tips in terms of how to eat right as the first speaking series this time. And we will have two more. The second one will be how to exercise right, and the third will be the total wellness. So I'm going to share my screen, and I may go on and off in terms of share screen so that you can still see me sometimes. And I'm not going to read word by word so that you don't get bored, because you know how that goes. But if I don't share some screens to have some some words on the paper for people who are like me, who are a visual person, will get really frustrated. So this is for those who are like me, a visual, and I know you read fast. So I'm going to go through this rather quick though. The first one is going to be how to eat right with a business schedule or traveling abroad. Again, it's not just about when you're on the plane, when you're in the foreign soil and different culture. It's also about at home, and when you're so busy, you forget to eat right. So I'm going to cover a few things, and can you read the screen right? Hopeful. All right, sounds great. So I'm going to start off by sharing the dimensions of total well-being. And why do I do that? It's because oftentimes we only think about businesses. We only think about others. And we forgot our own self, what it takes to reach that total well-being, total wellness. So I will get into that details. And I will also talking about what to eat and what are the myths about weight loss and the various diets, and what kind of eating habits actually impact our digestions and the fat storage in our body, and the key facts impact digestion, our body. Again, I'm going to introduce the concept of eating. It needs to be mindful, satisfy your brain so that it doesn't trigger your brain to be very stressful mode and get into fat storage mode. So if you think about all the basics you know about food, I will cover some of the basics about what is food, what is not. And when you look at different cuisines around the world, when you look at all kinds of convenient foods, fast foods out there, you can look into food hopefully a little bit differently based upon what I'm going to introduce to you. You can look at any food in the major components. So this is a lot to cover. I'm going to switch back to why total wellness is important. And we're going to eat right is basically nurture our physical health. It's only the physical health part, but we're going to get into the other part, and in terms of our connection to society, our emotional health. We're going to talk about the spiritual, the mental health, but we're not going to cover today. But I just want to put it out there so that you know this is all together. You have to take care of each component of it so that it's just not eating right. That you eat right, you're going to have a good wellness. I know you all agree with that. So I'm going to switch a little bit, just quickly show you a big picture of me on the screen of your right top corner. That was a picture of me looking stressful out of work. I pulling my hair off. I really look like that, right? So I was busy, crazily travel, and really had no time to take care of my own health. I thought I was eating right because my food science background and my nutritional background, apparently my body disagreed. I was too stressful. This is not just about gaining the weight. It's about the fact that my health got into I would say suboptimal is even the best way to describe it. I got hospitalized when I was traveling, and I was so iron deficient, vitamin D deficient. I was really, really low energy. I couldn't get to the second floor, climbing the stairs without elevator. This was in my 30s and the 40s. And when I got checked, I really had no disease, rather the health was suboptimal. And what I had to do, fast forward, I realized the importance of a total well-being, realized it's not just what you eat to get you to the wellness, the physical health we're looking for, but it's really how you eat it, what you eat it, and also the whole mind, how you set it right. So I really think it's important, and I went ahead to get not just with my food nutritional background, I got into fitness, I got into financial service, everything you name it, because I want to tackle the total well-being. So that was really on the right down corner. That was truly me in the pink. Now, dive into true detail that what matters to you. And this is, again, I was going to talk about the macronutrients versus the micronutrients of what kind of food. Again, when you look at different cuisines, you can look at the key elements, what is needed for your own health. And I'm going to go at the few key items of this. And towards the end, you can ask questions, and also feel free to type in questions in the questionnaire so that I can answer some of the questions for you. Now, here's the visual piece. Whatever cuisine you look at it, there's 3 key elements that your body truly needs. And the first part is the proteins. And each gram of protein is about 4 calories. It promotes the growth of your body. The second piece is carbs. Our body needs carbs, especially our brain growth needs carbs. And each gram provides 4 calories. It gives you the energy and the brain health, as I mentioned. Lastly, but not least, our body needs fats. And each grams of fats contributed to 9 calories. Again, if you count the calories, this is the math. But I'm going to tell you why counting calories may not be the right way to do. So your organs, need fats, your hormone level needs fats to get a regulation. Now, I'm going to list a few things. This is something you're familiar with. So when you look at the eggs, chicken, those are the typical ones that has proteins. So I want you to take a screenshot of this thing and say, you know what, these are the products, these are the foods that enrich in protein. It could be the Japanese sushi, right? It has a fish there. And it could be going to Italy, you have the lasagna, but it has a meat in there. So there's a protein in those dishes. And you need to look at the dairy product, for example, really high protein are cottage cheese in the US, home you can buy, so to help you intake your protein. And the reason I talk about protein more is because when we age, when we get older, we actually don't get enough protein in our body. When we travel, we tend to grab foods that tend to high in carb, not necessarily high in protein. So this is truly important. We know that growing up, we say, mom always say, eat your veggie, eat your fruits. And when you get older, and I'm going to tell you, eat your protein. We're going to increase that because the protein level intake is related to your metabolism, meaning how fast your body actually digest those calories to convert energy into your body. The slow your body metabolism is, the more likely your body is going to store fat, the unwanted fat, body fat. And so again, I'm going to revisit this, but take a screenshot. These are the healthy, so-called the good proteins that you probably cannot get enough in your life. So again, all kinds of fishes, you don't have, this are kind of, we heard about white meat is good for you. Eggs is also really perfect if you can, when you're traveling, when you are on the plane, get some eggs, get some fish. Those are the least thing you can do. A protein powder, if you truly don't have time, grab some protein powder, make it shakes, or put some hot water, drink it. So this is the one area that we tend to not have enough. Now, carbs, I don't know what kind of diet you might have tried or you're currently on. Low carbs trend has been going on in the US. Unfortunately, it actually impact our body in a big way. In US, for example, 20 years ago, when I was at work at Kraft, people going to no carb foods. That was one of the biggest mistake the food industry has done to impact our society. No carb means that you're going to have other type of product in the convenient food as a filler. And those no carb ingredients actually promote our body stress and actually get our body even store more body fat, to say the least. So carb is not bad for you, I just mentioned. And looking for wholesome carbs, meaning that products actually grow from the crops. Sweet potato is one of the best carbs part of food you can grab. Again, if you are going on the plane and bake some, just microwave some sweet potato, put it in your bag, that's a good exercise to go. I do that. And it's yummy too. And if you love beans, and a lot of cuisine has beans. Hispanic countries love the beans, so go ahead and enjoy them. And beans are not super good at the carbs. And if you love oatmeals, because oatmeals has been advertised as real good carbs, try the steel cut oats, not the rolling oats or the convenient quick cook oats. The reason is because those quick oats, fast cooking oats, the surface of a carbohydrate and the fibers have been destroyed. They cut it into small carbohydrates, actually make it too easy for the body to increase the blood sugar level, meaning that the carbohydrate already been cut into small carbohydrates, meaning sugar, and they get into bloodstream real fast. And you do not want that, especially in the morning. You do not want to get your blood sugar too high. So you want to go with the steel cut oats if you can, especially at home, because those are retained with digestible carbohydrates or fiber that can make it less susceptible for your body to get a blood sugar level. I will talk about blood sugar level a lot, by the way. If I can talk about hours because that's important. Lastly, but not least, I want to talk about the fats. Good fats are so important for you, for your regulation in the hormone, especially for women, for ladies my age. It's so important to get enough of high omega fat 3. So omega fat, like omega 3, omega 6, those are good fats for you, and our body needs to have their organs growth or the hormone regulated. And if you don't like too much oil in your dishes, you can grab almonds, nuts, pistachios, pecans, especially when you travel. Again, those roasted nuts, mixed nuts, bring to the plane and put on side of your desk when you are working from home, or when you travel board. This may be some of the products may be hard to bring, but nuts you can bring in most cases. Again, this is something you are going to make a constant effort to add some fats into your diet. Flax seeds is one of the examples that we don't intake enough. And this is something you can, when you at home, a busy schedule on meetings a lot, put some flax seeds into your shake, and this will help your brain growth. So produce, I don't need to spend too much time here. You know a lot about produce, but yet be careful with some of the produce actually high in carbs, may not necessarily good for you if you intake too much. when we know deep green colored veggies are all good for you. You cannot take enough. So do not limit yourself in those, but this is good for you. And if you can make spinach, eggs, and broccoli with chicken, those all can be standard dishes, and you can have for you when you're traveling abroad. You can ask for dishes like that when they make for you. I've done that a lot. Ask them to make dishes for me. But I'm gonna move on so that you can see a little bit more what I mean by get enough good protein. So this again give you a little bit more example. Think about lean proteins. We need more lean proteins for us. Eggs, protein powder, white meats, for example. Again, this will help you increase the protein intake when you are traveling and when you're busy, and get some yogurt, cheese. Beans are good for you. Peas, chickpeas are good for you. Hummus. Enjoy your hummus when you go to Hispanic countries, right? And again, pack some nuts. Drink milk, soy milk. Those are really good for you. And if you cholesterol is high, try to reduce the intake of red meats. And I know you enjoy steaks once a while, have some um, ribs are okay. Just try to minimize the numbers and substitute other type of protein if you can. Again, this doesn't mean that you don't get, when you go into a great restaurant and overseas, you don't get to try the local dishes. Try those, enjoy that. Again, the overall theme I'm going to tell you is that you're going to satisfy your brain. Don't starve your brain. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more, right? So this is some visual for you if your focus is to lose body fat. I hope you don't have to think too much of that, but there are tons of green products that you just cannot take enough. Brussels sprouts, for example, cabbage, for example, they're not just good for our body, but also very fulfilling. And again, fulfilling also means satiating to your brain, to your body. So those are good to have. I'm sure you've read a lot of articles about that. This just summarized for you, like what are things you can go. And if you worry about cholesterol, I would say eggs are fine, whole eggs. The egg society after 2 decades finally admit that you don't have to limit eggs into one a day, two a day. You can take a little bit more than that. If you truly worry about that, you can buy the egg whites that's available in the US. Canned tuna is really good for you as well. Very convenient. So now I get into the next page. Hope you can see that it's about boosting your immune system. This is something when we travel, we don't think too much about our immunity. It is actually very essential for us to get enough sunlight, especially when you're dealing with different time zone. And one of the way to deal with time zone differences, so it's actually you go out to the sun to get a vitamin D and to train your body that you're in the daytime time zone. And get mushrooms, cheese, get fortified foods, for example. Um, Again, this is just a few products you can try to get your immune up. Your immune system is back into your body and get you a health stage. Very important.
Uh,
Now,
Susie,
yes.
hi, just a time check and just a moment to give everybody an opportunity to digest. There's a lot of information here. And I'm wondering, are you open to taking questions along the way, or is your preference to wait until the end?
I actually prefer like give me a few more minutes to finish up the thoughts, and I love to take a picture. I can refer back to any of the slides if you need to.
Okay, very good. So Susie, you'll be talking for a little bit longer, and then save your questions for the end. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. We have until, do you have 5 more minutes or how much time we have?
Oh, well, no, the program runs for an hour, so we have another half hour. So
Okay.
so we're fine. It sounds like you probably only have a few more minutes of content, and then we'll open up the floor for questions if everybody's okay.
If everybody's okay, I'm gonna go give you the screenshots of what is the carbs, and then I'll dive into more details when I answer questions. How's that? Because there's no way you're gonna understand everything about the food science and nutrition and when somebody else studied for decades to get in the PhD degree, right? So it's very understandable if we don't get it certain in the first round. So if you need me to speak about any of this in the future, I'll be happy to talk into any of the topic. This slice, for example, carbohydrate, we can talk about hours, right? So high quality carbohydrate, I mentioned a little bit about what is important when you look, if you're counting carbs. Again, this is for those of you who are counting carbs or on certain diet. I'm sure you know some of the knowledge about, hey, what is the carbohydrate related to each type. But really, what the key takeaway of this slide is to show you, try to get a higher fiber carbs, meaning more wholesome type of carbs that can slow the digestion in your system, can reduce the rate of your blood sugar right, you spike. That's what you want. And try to reduce the intake of refined or lower fiber carbs, like the refined flour, rice, the white rice, or anything added to sugar. And I would say this really broadly. If you read ingredients, especially when you're global, and you go to countries that have a convenient foods, looking for high fructose corn syrup and on the label, those are things you should try to avoid, especially in the drinks. And it's really common ingredient in the sweetened drinks globally, but it is one of the worst carbs you can take and for your body, because it will spike your blood sugar level super, super high and fast. And it will cause your brain to be stressful, therefore store more body fat for you. So a couple more slides, then I'll stop and I'll get some questions answered. Fats, we talk about fats are important, and the good fats, right? So, I mean, again, if you occasionally take some butter food, the foods dishes that have butters or lards, they're fine. Again, enjoy your dishes, enjoy your cuisines. But when you can, especially when you're busy at home, try to get more of the fats that contain polyunsaturated fats, like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, etc. And we talk about nuts. And again, this slide is for people who counts for carbs. The carbs in the nuts may not be bad for you. So I should say broadly. And a couple more. If you are in any of the weight management program, weight is not a good measure of the health. So I just want to make that concept, that in front of you. Weight is not a good way to measure our health. Because our weight changes up to 10 days every day. And if you weigh yourself too often, can only cause your body more stressful. Don't do that. And some of the weight loss diets, again, if you're cautious about that, especially when you're busy or traveling, and this is something to watch for. It may not help you lose weight in the long run. Again, your goal needs to be reduce body fat, but not necessarily the body weight. And I want to look into different kinds. If you are interested, if some of this work for you, go ahead and try, but be careful just to knowing that your body cannot be in the starving mode. Your brain cannot be too stressful. The current popular ones like intermittent fasting, keto diet, and Mediterranean diet, they all have their effectiveness. They all have their reason to be popular. And any of those diet process will help you reduce fat. The key though is how do you maintain a healthy weight, a healthy body fat level, and yet can retain that and make your body satiating. So one more slice, this is it. And not just what you eat matters, actually what your eating habits can do to your body matters in a great deal. So I put it this. So it's like there's certain eating habits like if you eat too fast, you're not mindful, your mind or your eyes are on the screen or in a meeting or something else when you're eating, those will actually cause your brain be really stressful. And then they may take anything you eat, turn it into body fat. Yeah, you heard it right. Any of the good foods you just saw before, if you eat in a stressful situation, your body will turn those into body fat storage. And also how frequent you eat. If you're in the starving mode, it can also trigger your body to be fat, in the fat storage mode. And whether you eat the water, you drink the soup first or you drink soup last, or whether you eat protein foods first or eat the carb foods first, can also impact how satiated your brain and your stomach is going to feel. And the stress, hormone, your aging, the way you eat should be different as well. So takeaway, eating needs to be mindful, fulfilling, and the satisfying. Do not trigger your brain into fat storage mode. So I'm going to actually stop there, and I'm going to stop the screen sharing, and I'm going to take questions. I know there are tons of to intake, and some of those you might know. And to actually put into practice, it can be a different story.
Sounds
Questions?
good. So please either unmute yourself or raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. I'll ask one question and then hopefully others will jump in. You mentioned about how weight, actual poundage, I presume, is not a good measure. What are the measures that people should be thinking about in this area?
Good question. That's one of the area people truly struggle. And the good way of a measure is that you actually, it's the fat layer of the fat around our stomach. So you measure that consistently around your waist area. So one of the way that I always suggest people do is around your belly button area or one around your side waist, whichever you decide to pick, and you just measure the thickness of that layer of fat. That the middle section is one of the indicator of how much body fat you have around your body. So I do that all the time. I just when I go for how do I feel? How do I know if my fitness is effective? If I'm too stressful, and those layers, the thickness of the fat around my middle waist is gonna change.
Got it. Thank you. What other questions do people have?
My hands went up.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
Gloria.
Okay, I have a question. There's a lot of media on brain foods versus brain supplements, etc. Could you comment on that area? Because for those of us in the aging category, where our mental capacity tends to diminish as years go on, so they say, I certainly would want to know that.
Yes. don't we love the name of brain foods, right? So it's good for our brain. Everybody needs a brain. It is true though. Brain needs certain foods. I mentioned that the fats are really important for brain health, and certain carbohydrates are important for brain health. So, and we know that's really related to dementia prevention as well. And I always say that my number one fear of my health is dementia. I don't want to get a dementia. And the brain health is truly important, and food has contributed to a big deal to the brain health. You're absolutely right, Gloria. And I'm gonna comment in the next session about exercise. It's great part of it, how to do it right, but the how to eat it right though. Again, the number one, I would say it again from this session is that do not cause your brain stressful.
Mhm.
And how do you do that is, again, how do you eat right? Do you hydrate enough? Do you get your body in the very stressful mode? And so your brain constantly worry about this. But what do you take though? The brain foods, so-called brain foods, should consist with foods that are high in omega fatty acids, especially omega-3. And we do not take enough from a daily intake. Therefore, go ahead and take supplements for omega fatty acids. So that's one of the supplements you can take while you're eating omega fatty acid enriched foods. I talk about olive oil, talk about those products, Mediterranean type of foods intake. They're really good for you. So that's the second point. The third point about what to eat, brain food, is make sure you have carbohydrates, the good carbohydrate to feed your brain. Brain health requires carbohydrates. So a big watch out from the diet out there. If anybody is on the low carb, you're going to see drastic weight loss from low carbs, but it's on the expenses of a brain health. So I said it very big, very loud. It's expenses of a brain health, and don't do that. So again, those are the few things I would say you can do, and do not get oversold on anything promised like this magic pill though. There's no magic pill. It's gonna grow our brain health, get into a perfect situation. Dementia is one of the things, one of the disease, unfortunately, has not been cracked the code, but people do know at the medical and the food industry do all agree is that exercise, low stress, and certain brain foods, omega-3 fatty acid enriched foods can help. So you got it, and the carbs as well. So those three things will enhance your brain health.
Thank you.
I'll add that to my slides, Gloria.
Okay. I see Professor's hands up too.
Professor.
Thank you, Susie. I got two questions. One, I noticed in your list, by the way, incredible materials. I just love what you did. And I'm really looking forward to Cesar standing as the video so that I can actually copy a lot of notes. But so thank you, Susie. First question, I noticed you have brown rice, and for some reason, I like white rice, but I know the difference. If you could address that, that would be very important. The other money, when you're talking about omega-3, I did some investigation. My background is chemistry, and what I found out is there is, of course, fish oil, right, with omega-3, and then there is omega-3 from algae. The thing that I can't take is fish oil because it actually has very high cholesterol into it. If you could address those two elements, the brown to white rice and the lowering cholesterol intake.
Excellent question, professors. I expect no less than from you, right? I can tell your background in chemistry just like mine. I also got a background in chemistry. Very important. I'm going to address your second question first, omega-3. Omega-3, indeed, it comes from two sources in the commercial market. Fish source is the most common one you can get, but the algae base is what you need, what you want if you can buy algae based, simply because the reason fish got omega-3 is because they eat algae. Fish got from algae, so you actually can get the source from algae, go directly to the source. Of course, if you love some salmon, it has both, right? It has both the protein and also the omega-3. So by looking for the label to see if they're algae based, and there's some company we used to work with, we studied big time omega-3 is from Martech, and this was when I work on the Horizon brand. Horizon, we added omega-3 into milk, and those omega-3 is algae based. So the first question about brown rice versus white rice, you're not alone who love white rice. No matter how much, what do you do with the brown rice? They don't taste the same. And I'm one of them. And again, this speaks for half of the population in the world who just loves white rice and the sticky rice, should I mention. The sticky rice oil is something I cannot resist. Now, here's my trick. I always tell people, do not give up what you enjoy, but alter the order of your food intake, meaning that you eat, when you have a dishes in front of you, you eat the white rice the last when your stomach is almost full, so that the white rice, the sugar level in the white rice doesn't get it into your bloodstream that fast. Okay, so that you do not have a blood sugar spike. So that's truly one of the keys you can try. It's really practical. I tell people all the time, and you treat the white rice like dessert. It's another concept I tell people. You treat your sticky rice like a dessert. And you don't eat dessert first, right? You know, if you eat dessert right away, you got a sugar spike, blood sugar spike. So another thing, if you're Asia, like me, I always tell them, when you eat your congee, be careful. Every time you look at congee, while you enjoy it, think about it's also sugar water. It is.
Very
To
true.
your body. It's a sugar water, because when the rice, the carbohydrate, cooked for that long, all the chain of a carbohydrate being chopped into small carbohydrates, aka sucrose. That's a sugar. So you can't eat as much as tastes so good, but it's actually sugar water. Don't avoid them. So again, my point is that you can change the order, the sequence of what you eat them at last, so that you enjoy your dessert.
Thank you so much, Susie. You
I
just
know
cut
that will
my-
save a lot of my friends, for
Yeah,
sure.
you cut my jasmine rice, white rice usage by almost 80% by doing that. Thank you. It's very
Yeah.
important, very interesting. What you're saying is the sequence of how you're eating, because you're activating different secretion in your digestive and stomach area. So that's really that important. Now, the thing that I noticed in Italy, a big difference. In Italy, you eat salad after pasta and with your meat or whatever you eat, the chicken or whatever. Here in the US, instead, you use salad first. What do you suggest in terms of sequencing?
I suggest actually eat something bulky and not gonna trigger your blood sugar first, meaning that your salads, if you prefer salad, it's okay. But if you eat your pasta first, you have tendency to trigger the blood sugar spike. Now, I want to have a word for Italian bread because I studied them for length, and
It's vicious.
the Italian, especially Barilla pasta, they are high in the what do you call hard wheat flour. So those hard wheat flour is actually the fiber is a little bit harder for our body to digest. Therefore, they don't get into your blood sugar spike as fast compared to ramen noodle or the regular type of pasta.
Yeah. Thank you for clearing my guilty conscience.
Professor,
No.
I can answer your question through a little trivia, possibly on the salad issue. Why Americans like to serve salad before entree, where in Europe the salad is served after entree. Okay, it kind of goes back to maybe the 1800s, where workers, miners, anything, when they would go to the local pub or to wherever they went to eat, diner, whatever it's called back then, if the chef was getting behind in the kitchen, getting the food out there, they would actually start breaking chairs and becoming destructive. So then they started serving soup and salad before entree to keep the patrons occupied while they prepared the entree, and it just stuck.
Wow.
But I think in healthy eating, Europeans are correct. Roughage after your meal is much better. I think Susie will agree with that because it helps with your digestive system process all that food because you've got the roughage after the entree. Is that not correct, Susie?
I first of all, Gloria, it's really good to have a reason behind the salads first or not. Is not the nutritionist work so hard on that thing, right? So yeah, it's actually when you purely from a nutritional perspective, you want the stomach have a bulky foods so that it sends signal to your body in terms of satiating. So your body will get, your brain will get this signal saying, oh, I'm actually full, I'm satisfied. Therefore, the brain is going to send a signal to digest as normal. Don't keep every food intake into storage fat of the body fat, right? So then some cases you do want to do salads first. If you truly enjoy those leafy salads, that case can help you slow down. And if you have bad, or should I say, not so desirable carbohydrates first, it can increase your bloodstream first. So that sequence is important. However, it's complicated when it comes to food intake because we involve the brain. We always forget the brain is the true boss here. Truly regulate your intake. The brain decide whatever your food you take, are they going to take you into your nutrients or is going to store in as an energy, as a body fat into our body. Again, keep in mind, the brain is the one. You don't want to trigger brain because again, this is my biggest theory is that the brain, if the brain is starving mode, starving for so long, let's say we eat all the meals you just mentioned, doesn't matter which one you eat first. If you have been starving for so long, the brain is so starving to see any food intake. And what's going to tell us? They're going to say, oh my gosh, we're going to short of energy source. So what do your brain to do? Turn those into storage for ourselves, energy storage. The way our body store energy is the body fat, especially those inner fat around our waistline. It's something we do not want. So if you forget anything from this session, your key takeaway is to feed your brain. When we say mindful eating, it means make your brain satisfied, slow down your intake, don't get into any starving mode. When you eat regularly or more frequently, and when you on any diet, make sure don't get yourself starving because that's why the relapse is a lot worse than you go diet before. Any other questions?
Very good. Thank you.
I know this is a lot to digest, and it's a long session, and it can be boring, and it can be very confusing. People think that, oh, gee, I got it. No, not necessary, right? So when I was working at the Kraft Foods, this was 20 years ago, as a young professional. Actually, I led a program called a weight management program for the company-wide. And to this day, I don't know why they gave me that program, and they should have somebody more seasoned, I would believe. But I had the ability, I guess, to get initiatives across a company, across different global sites. And one of the program we had is called Foodcast, and we look into trends that can impact our food design. And a part of that is also weight management. We study all kinds of weight management foods out there, convenience, and from any country, any company. And we conclude that no carb diet is a no-go. It's really something you do not go, and you got to do that very, very carefully. And then the wholesome food, and that's also we realize it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat it, and how it's gonna your body intake those foods, and then also dealing with your lifestyle. So I'm gonna switch into my screen share just real quick, and we're gonna conclude the session. And so basically I have a key takeaway. That is, we need to balance the food intake, our sleep, exercise, meditation, to manage our wellness, our physical wellness, right? And we need to feed our body, feed your brain, and we need to work out smart, which I'm going to cover in the next session. I'm going to demystify the workout, what to do or not to do. I'm going to make it a workout enjoyable, simple enough that all of us can do. And last but not least, eating habit. The third session I'm going to cover is the eating habit, have a lifestyle. It's come down to lifestyle, and we have a lifestyle is going to change how our body look at the food, how our body treat how our brain actually treat our body as well. So I did have more question there, but I'm not gonna cover that right now, or should I cover?
Yeah, we're just about out of time. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that you go through the summary of what's planned for the rest of the year for sure.
Yeah. So the next topic is going to be in June. I'm going to talk about what exercise you can do when you're busy, when you're on the plane, when you're in the different time zone, when you're just sleep deprived. What can you do to have some workout? Because workout is not just reduce calorie. That's the concept I want to put out there. Workout is to actually get your brain in the right place. It's for your brain health, not just the physical health. Really, really important. Then the third session I'm going to cover is the whole approach in terms of lifestyle. And I'm going to reiterate some of the points I've made so that you have a chance to digest the points I've been trying to get across, but also ask more questions, and how to manage your sleep, for example. Sleep also give chance for the body, more importantly for the brain, to rest, to put it at ease. That is also very, very important. So that's all I have for today, and look forward to see you in June and October.
For those of you in Los Angeles area, we also have a lunch next Thursday that Susie will be at. And thank you for inspiring us to have a Lunar New Year luncheon in Torrance, California. Catch the programs, the virtual programs for the rest of the year with Susie talking about this important health. A lot of takeaways, Susie, for me. And one good piece of news that I took away was when to eat rice. Because now that I spend a lot more time in LA, the rice, the Japanese rice is plentiful. It's all over. And I love Japanese rice. I worship it. It's so spectacular. I could eat it constantly. And I was actually thinking the other day, I'd love to even just have it for dessert because I don't like dessert. It's like, why not have it for dessert? And so you gave me an opening there, the timing of eating rice after the meal. Thank you. I think I'll do that from now on.
And another trick I always help people to do is any rice dishes, once you cook the rice, actually put it in the refrigerator first before, then you eat the next day. There's if a professor is on the phone, he probably understand the chemistry behind this. So basically, if you refrigerate your rice, the carbohydrate will change
Interesting.
in the refrigeration temperature.
Huh.
And I'll leave that. I'll give that answer in the next session. How's that? So I
Okay.
just tell you what to do, but I'll give you the reason why that can help. So any rice dishes, you put in the refrigerator, then the next day you eat it.
So I go to the Japanese market now. It's about 2 minutes away, and I get inari sushi, which is just the rice wrapped in a tofu wrapper, and I put it in the refrigerator. And if I ever have a sweet tooth, I just have some rice. So it sounds might be a good idea. So thank you.
Absolutely, and there a lot of country foods out there. So yeah, Asian foods, rice and Hispanic, a lot of rice. It's not something you say, oh my gosh, I can control it. It exists for a reason. So again, in thank you for the summary. I hope that you take away what we talk about, what to eat, and you have to encompass how to eat it. And the food matters, but your mindful approach to the food also matters. And this will be part of the total well-being. If we don't have the physical well-being, how can you talk about the total well-being? And again, back to the first slides I talk about is like, gotta feed our mind, gotta the physical health, gotta mental health, got a whole family and the relationship, everything right in the right place. So with the theme of Chinese New Year coming up or Lunar Year coming up, we're wearing red, and hopefully hope to see you next Thursday. And I want to say this first, wish everybody a healthy new year, that prosperous, healthy new year. So take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Catch you next time.